All right, let's get this popping. Hey, y'all, welcome to Let's Talk About It, another episode. What's going on, fellas?
Ooh. I got a headache, yo.
Another episode. You got a headache.
Yeah.
Sinus?
I don't even know
It's all up. It's up here. Oh, yeah.
You done the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
How's everyone been since the last episode, yo? Let's start with you, Ron. How you been?
How you been,
Welcome
Ron?
back to you. All right, Slug, how you been?
Oh, hi. My name's Slug. It's like, nah, I'm good, man. It's been some days. Had some hills to climb. That's what the song would say. But I still won't complain. Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. Going well.
What about you, team?
Yeah, I'm good. I had a nice little vacation over this last week. God's been good to me. I'm home now, and yeah, chilling with the bros. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk
Let's
about
go.
it.
How about you, Kurt?
I'm doing good, you know.
You already know what I'm saying.
Out here working, sleeping, you know. Working, sleeping.
That's dope.
Place I'm at.
So today we have a special guest.
Uh-huh.
He ain't special to me. He ain't special at all.
Yeah, that's
honestly.
crazy.
But,
That's crazy.
Bless you,
bro,
Professor.
That's
our
crazy.
brother, Jakai Holmes. Jakai, how are you doing?
Hey y'all, what's up, my brothers?
What up,
Professor.
yo?
How's
Oh,
everybody doing?
yeah.
I'm doing good. Listen, I couldn't wait to be on the Let's Talk About It podcast. Like,
I mean, you've been on the last podcast. I mean,
I
you
know,
all up in the
but
comments.
you
but
might
can
be,
you let me
yeah.
finish?
In
You
the
asked me how I was
comments.
doing.
Let's not
So
start.
I'm telling you
Let's
that
not
I
start.
thank you all
Hallelujah.
for allowing me to be on this
Hallelujah.
platform with you guys. I'm excited to talk, to rap. Let's talk about it.
You can't rap though. Oh, you mean talk? Okay, gotcha.
Wow.
You ready, sir, bud? How are you doing?
Life is all right for me.
Life now is sweet. It's all right, and my
my
joy is complete. Woo!
Curtis.
Because I'm
Hold on. Wait a
First of all, don't get your
Wait a
guy
minute.
started.
Curtis, you bought that dashiki with you?
Yo, he really did.
Oh my God.
Look,
Where y'all
y'all
see a
ain't know-
dashiki at?
let him
Yo,
live.
before we started, Kurt was like, "I'm bringing a daishiki," and now he got the daishiki
Sister,
on.
It's over
Sister
there,
Jones said the
audience.
volume is low.
The volume
The
is
volume
low.
is
Turn
low.
up your phone, Mom.
Hey, yo, don't do that.
Yo.
Don't come from my mom.
Psych.
I'm in tears.
We'll talk louder for you, Aunt V.
Don't come from my
Psych.
mom.
Psych.
The
Don't come from my mom.
volume is low.
Don't come from my mom.
Yeah.
Clothesline you as soon as you go in the house.
Oh, the sweet chin music.
So
Said a clothesline.
let's get to the topic while we got a lot of people here. So the
Yeah,
topic
go.
today is going to be on forgiveness.
Yes, sir.
Father, forgive him.
Forgive. Let's go.
Father, forgive them for
Father,
Fornicate us.
Aunt V said, really?
Father, forgive him.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
So yeah, the topic today is forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Let me go.
Yes.
All right, so yeah, let's get into forgiveness, guys.
Oh,
How y'all feel about forgiveness?
Man.
Is it
It's hard.
Is
What is
forgiveness a real thing? Like, can you
Yeah.
be able to forgive and forget?
Genuine.
Oh.
Biblically, you're supposed to.
Because people
As a
say
human, no.
you got to forgive and forget. So is
No.
it a possibility to forgive and forget?
I
You
don't think
can
we
forgive, but can't forget.
I don't think we should forgive and forget. I'm gonna tell you why. Forgiving is a whole different aspect. We're supposed to forgive because we want people to understand that, hey, like we're good on whatever terms we're at right now. I don't know if it's good terms or bad terms, but we're just selling that situation. Okay, but to forget the idea, no. I feel like in reality, if I'm forgetting what you did to me, I'm letting it go.
Exactly.
And if I'm letting it go, I'm saying I'm willing to let it happen again, and that's not a thing. Like,
Exactly.
I fully understand what you're saying in that, but I think forgiveness is not necessarily for other people. Forgiveness is for us. Because, like, when you still holding on to stuff, that's power. You giving people power over you.
I get that. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I get that. Only reason why I'm gonna say I get that because, and I know like we're trying to not to just be all with like biblical about it, but God could have really did the same thing to us. So like, why can't we forgive? Now, like I said, I know it's hard personally. Like I said, it's hard for me, but I try my best to forgive. Forgetting, I'm still working on that.
We all are.
But
we human.
forgiving, that's it, we're supposed to.
absolutely.
You know,
But I mean, even God threw him in the sea of forgetfulness.
He did.
You know.
True.
Yes, he did.
That's in the Bible.
That is true.
In the what?
Bibble.
In the bibs.
But to a way, I feel like if you can't forget sometimes, I don't know if you fully forgave either.
That's good.
You say if you don't forget,
If you don't forget, then you didn't fully forgive. You haven't fully forgave.
That's
definitely
forgiven. You
know
haven't
we're
fully
all
forgiven.
one.
It makes sense. The only thing that I'm coming from, maybe it's devil's advocate too, but like to me, like if I'm forgiving somebody, I'm telling you, man, like all right, like I see what you did, I see the wrong that happened, or like I see what I did, and like can you forgive me? You know what? That's cool, but like to forget about the situation, I can't like forget about something that somebody did to me, let alone like not know what I learned from it. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like they're two different things, but in reality though, I can't, if I'm forgetting the situation, I'm also forgetting what I learned from it. Like,
Exactly. And I feel like if you end up forgetting, that puts your guard down for it to happen again.
Well,
that easily goes to you.
I'll say this. I won't say necessarily you're forgetting what you learned, because at the end of the day, you can forgive and forget, but also be wise in how you go about the situation with whoever it is or whatever the situation is. Just because you forgive and forget doesn't mean like you have to just automatically just go back to how you were. You can keep them to a distance, but still show God's love at the end of the day.
I get that.
think that's
I get
the
that.
biggest thing, being able to like forgive, but still people at like an arm's distance in case they do want to try the same thing over again. You gotta, hey, I remember, but I'm gonna let you slide this one time.
The saying says, "Fool me one time, shame on me.
I was
Fool
just
me
about to
twice.
say that.
Fool me twice,
Talk
shame
good.
on you." So I'm sorry.
Fool me
like,
3 times.
I can't forget because you just going.
That's
Fool
cold.
me once,
Fool me, yeah.
shame on you. Fool me twice,
Shame
can't
on
put
you,
the
yeah,
blame
yeah.
on you.
Nah,
Fool me three
Fool
times.
me 3 times. That's a
Oh,
provocation.
you know it to be coming.
Fool me 3 times.
That's
let
Fayetteville.
it
That's
rain
Fayetteville. That's Fayetteville. That's Fayetteville. All right.
But I was going to say, so naturally speaking, the question is asked, can you forgive and forget? Naturally, no, we cannot. Once something is done to you the first time, you're going to always remember that. If Malachi was to come in right now and purposely just step on my toe and then say, I'm sorry, can you please forgive me? Yes, but I'm going to always remember Malachi just came in and stepped on my toe. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So naturally, no, we cannot forget the things that people have done to us. Now, the thing about it is letting it, like Ron said, hold dominion over us and let it hold space in our brain to where we cannot function afterwards. You get what I'm saying? But spiritually speaking, I don't know the exact verse, but the Bible talks about if your brother sins against you, you're supposed to forgive them 7 times 70 in one day. So what's the purpose of keeping?
Somebody said they can't hear us.
For real?
Yeah.
I hear Jakai because I can hear Jakai too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't all like talk.
Oh, got you.
That too. What's
But-
up, D? That's my father-in-law, yo. What up, D?
What up,
Bless
bitch?
you. Mic is on.
No.
Like that.
But is the volume all right? I'm sorry, because I don't want to waste these words.
She said just don't yell in the mic.
Got you. So what I was saying though is the Bible says if your brother sins against you, forgive them 7 times 70, and that's just in one day. I think it's I don't misquote me, but that's what the Bible says. So what's the purpose of us holding on to what someone has done to us? If they do it again, you're supposed to forgive them anyway. You get what I'm saying? We're supposed to forgive them like God forgives us. And I remember one time we were talking about this in our youth conference call one time, and I just brought up the point of what if God always thought to us, God forgives us every day. God forgives us for everything that we've done and everything we're going to do. You get what I'm saying? So what if God was just like, all right, so I'm going to bless you this time. I'm going to forgive you this time, but the next time I don't know if I can forgive you. But he knows we're going to sin. Like, he knows we're going to sin against his word or sin against him. So what if he held that same type of mentality? Like, what if God had the same mentality as man? Like,
Right.
That's good.
where would
Yeah,
we be?
yeah.
Like,
But also, not to cut you off, but like kind of add to what you were saying.
thank you, Aunt Carolyn. It's Luke 17:4. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Got it.
Like with the forget is not necessarily like, all right, just forget it, like don't learn from it. But some of us, what? Oh, all right. But like some of us, we say that we forgive somebody, but we hold them to that expectations of what they did forever. And we never give somebody the opportunity to grow, to show us different.
Yeah.
We say we forgave them, and we're holding on to something that they no longer are either. Like we have this expectations of somebody that they used to be. And we can never see the growth that they had because we didn't actually forget about it.
That is.
Cole said, I think forgive and move on is a better idea than forgive and forget, which is that's
agree.
true.
Yeah.
Definitely move on.
I agree.
What it is. I cannot necessarily just forget what you did. I'm sorry. Like, I understand what you're saying, but like, I'm not gonna bash you in the head for what you did to me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna bash you in the head, but I'm not also gonna forget.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying, because as soon as someone sees a hint of what like was done to them, they'll automatically go back. See, you did that last time. Blah blah blah. You always do that. Like, I understand what you mean, but like sometimes, like I'm not gonna just forget what you did to me.
Yeah, I think for real, it boils down to like maturity on both ends. Like at the end of the day, like can I be mature enough to forgive you and then not hold you to that stance of where you were? Can you be mature enough to take my forgiveness, but also like find yourself not doing the same thing over again, which is hard to do in reality. You know what I mean? Like that's a hard thing to like segue into and like figure things out. So I mean, I get it. Like I don't think forgiveness is something that's supposed to be easy for anybody. Like to be real. So I don't really know.
Forgiveness is never easy.
It's not. Forgiveness is not easy because, again, it goes back to we're human beings,
Yeah.
right? But we're also spiritual beings as well. So we know I think it's hard because we know that we're supposed to forgive them. I think the hard part comes in at the part of not letting it cloud our judgment or cloud, like Kurt was saying, allowing us to see the growth in a person. You get what I'm saying? So I think, like Ron said, it's hard. Forgiveness is hard. Your walk with Christ is hard. Like, it's not an easy journey. But in us forgiving, and I'm personally not the component of forgetting and forget. I don't really necessarily agree with that. I like how Nicole said it: forgive and move on. Yeah. But God did not create us to be dummies. He did not create it. He gave us wisdom, right? So if someone does something to me the first time, I'm going to forgive them, right? But also, I'm not going to let you do it to me again and then granted, God gives us the grace when we sin, right? He knows we're going to sin again, right? But then again, it doesn't become. Are we truly repentant when we do it again after we ask God to forgive us? Like, we go back because we know God is going to forgive us, right? So we go back and do that same sin over again.
Like premeditated.
Exactly.
Sin.
You get what I'm saying? So if God doesn't accept that, I don't think we should accept that. You get what I'm saying? I don't think we should allow people to abuse the forgiveness and abuse the grace that we give them, especially as spiritual beings and as natural beings as well. Again, like Nicole said, and like we said earlier, don't let it cloud your judgment and not allow you to allow that person the opportunity to grow, but also use wisdom in how you move with that individual and how you move in those situations so it doesn't happen again. Sometimes we can control the things that happen to us. Sometimes we can't. You know what I'm saying?
So I guess that like brings a question that I have for you guys. Do you feel like forgiveness changes when it happens to you again? Like the situation happens again? Because in reality, forgiveness will always have the same definition. But if someone does something to you, the second time, can you actually forgive them in that moment? Or is it just like, this is my fault, I shouldn't let it happen? Or like, dang, I'm still holding you to that same spot again. Like, what's happening? Like, can we forgive the second time?
I think it's situational. And the reason why I say situational, I'll just use an analogy or use an example. If I give Keegan $20, right? And Keegan's like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that with the $20. Like, I'm like, Keegan, I need you to do this with my money, right? I give you money. And then you don't do that. I have to forgive you for what you've done. I mean, you get what I'm saying? Yeah. But I'm not going to give you $20 again.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
like,
yeah.
I'm gonna be
but
wise.
I guess,
like, I'm gonna be wise. Like, so because I'm not gonna allow you to manipulate. Like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
so like you won't let it happen again. You won't let it happen
Exactly.
again. So there will be no other situation per se.
Right.
Okay.
That's why I say it's kind of situational because some things I feel like we do have control over it. Now, I forgave you for what you did, but I'm not going to put myself in a situation to like I said, to be taken advantage
Right.
of. And
So-
that's, I don't know if that's right.
Nah, I mean that makes sense. So like, would you say that situation you're forgiving the situation but not the person? Because like,
Given the act,
yeah, like the act was that I took your $20 and I'm like, you know what, I did whatever I want to do.
'Cause
It.
that's not gonna stop you from giving another person $20.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
see,
It's
got
just
you. Yeah,
that
that makes
person.
that
you
makes
just,
sense.
yeah.
I mean,
So-
I feel like
That's
that
good.
all
That's
just
good.
goes back into that fool me one time,
was thinking
shame.
that too.
Yeah. Fool me twice, I can't put the blame on you. That goes right back into that. So
Right.
Yeah.
So my question would be, because Kurt did say, allowing that person the opportunity to grow. How would you allow that person the opportunity, like in that certain situation, like it's like with money or something like that with someone that you want? How do you let that person grow in that type of situation?
That's a good question.
I don't think it's necessarily that you have to let that person grow. I think that growth is something that they have to do for themselves.
Right.
But
Right.
also don't let like you not getting over it cloud you from seeing someone's growth too. Because someone may come back later and be a completely different person. And like we feel it all the time. We've all been through that. Like somebody's holding us to something that we no longer are.
Right.
You know,
I got you.
especially stuff. I'm not like a high school kid no more. Stop bringing up
Right.
something that
At
I said
all.
or did in high school.
In 2013.
Right. It's
That's true,
2020.
man.
We're in a pandemic. This is
One of the things I always say is you're not the same person you were yesterday. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hello.
Elder Blake said, "Forgiveness is a process, but it should produce change in the person that has done wrong towards us. So forgiveness should produce change."
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It should.
Absolutely. I mean, is it going to always
the-
like
but
we
like
don't?
it should,
Yeah,
but
like
The
always
change
do that.
doesn't come in with our forgiveness. The change we forgive. We have to forgive regardless if they change or not.
Exactly.
They have to be willing to change, and I think like how we move going forward has to do with the change that they do.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you want to go back to that $20 situation, yeah, I'm not going to, it takes you, I'm a more of a 3 strikes person. So like, yeah, you take my $20, but you don't spend it wisely.
yeah.
I'm gonna still give you $20 the next time just to see if you're gonna do it. Then that third strike, if you ask $20 and don't do it right, then it's gonna be like, all right,
Right.
I'm not giving you
Yeah,
none,
like
of,
whatever at
none of
this
my
point.
money no more.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think what Jakob's saying too is true. Like, it is situational. You know, when we talking about money, like something tangible, something a little different. We're talking about an emotional situation. I feel like your mind kind of goes a different spot to it. So, like, I'll say this. So it depends on the situation by like who it is, the relationship with the person, but also like the idea of like how you react with the person, how you interacted with the person, and how long you knew them,
That's
stuff like that.
sticky,
Like,
though.
How invested you
That's
are.
exactly,
real sticky.
exactly.
I think forgiveness really depends on how invested are you into this person or
Yeah.
this situation.
But sometimes I think even, I was about to say, I think even sometimes I feel like with being invested, sometimes it's best to just let some situations and some things go in order to keep your sanity in your mind, though. Because a lot of times, and that's kind of going off subject, but a lot of times we stay in stuff that like hurts us, like harms us more than helps us. You know what I mean? If that makes sense in a
Yeah.
way.
I know if like for me, it kind of brings us into the next the next question. Like when it comes to someone when it comes to me emotionally or like, yeah, emotionally, I stay arm's length. Do y'all, how about y'all? Like if someone emotionally hurts you or does wrong to you,
So-
I forgive you, but I don't be all
I
bugging
don't,
like I
yo,
used to be.
like honestly, I can't even like. Maybe this is just me, like once again, therapy is always a good option, guys. Like,
Always a good option.
But anyway, but I know this is what I talked about this in therapy one time actually. But like, I think the one situation that was bothering me was that like when someone hurts like you, and keeping them arm's length means you visually see them, right? That's not always easy to do. Like Tahim was saying, sometimes for your own sanity, it's good for you just kind of like to drop the situation. It's not, and you cutting the person off doesn't necessarily mean that you didn't do them, or that you did them a disservice, or you're not letting them grow. It's just that I'm choosing not to like let myself be. Give you my energy in that aspect. You know what I mean? Like, and once again, it goes down to relationship. It goes down to like who they are to you. How invested you are in the relationship. If they're just your brother, or if it's just like some dude you met at a basketball court or something like that. So it all depends on that situation. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
So you kind of touched on something that's a little deeper than that, because sometimes severing the relationship is kind of the better thing to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Even though you forgive, and a lot of people might not necessarily agree with this, forgiveness does not always mean reconnection.
Absolutely.
So I can forgive you, and I think since graduating college, I think I've experienced this more than ever. Is just the fact of, I will say, there's been times where I've been done wrong, right? And I try not to be confrontational. I try not to be confrontational. I just try to drop it, and sometimes in me dropping it is when you will lose communication with me. You get what I'm saying? Because it's just I much rather just drop the situation, did the situation, than for us to, I don't know. Sometimes the communication, especially if the other party is not mature enough, can dig you into a deeper situation.
I get that.
Some people might not agree.
I can definitely go into. I'm sorry for cutting you off, team.
No.
I can definitely go into what Keegan brought up when saying when it depends on the person,
Right.
and then going into what you said when cutting the entire thing all together. Because when you've been in association with the person for so long, you can become so trusting to the point where they're not just dealing with chance B, C, and D. Now they on chance W.
Right.
So the only thing that you have to do is just to cut that off. So I think for me personally, that's where I need to get to.
Right.
Because like you said, there's people where you just too trusting with.
I remember. If y'all remember the youth department, we had a conversation with Elder Holton talking about forgiveness. Forgiveness came up in our conversation, and if you ask me, we only see in church. I'll just use church because that's where most of us are at all the time. A lot of times in church, forgiveness is only viewed when there's a reconnection. I can't not forgive a person and not go to Denny's after the late night musical with them. If I don't go to the late night music, if I don't go to Denny's or Applebee's or IHOP after service with you, then I didn't forgive you. I'm still holding a grudge. You get what I'm saying?
Or I ain't go up for prayer with you.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
not even that. But sometimes in church settings, a lot of times if you disconnect from a certain individual or a certain party, you know what I'm saying? You can still forgive that person, but in their eyes, you haven't forgiven me because we didn't go back to how things were before the transgression happened.
Right.
So a lot of times, we got to go, in order for you to truly forgive me or for there to be a true sign of forgiveness, we have to reconnect. And I don't always necessarily think that is forgiveness. I don't think because we reconnected and because we danced during the praise break together that we forgive each other. I don't always think that, and that's necessarily forgiveness. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on a second. So I definitely agree with that. That forgiveness don't mean that you got to go back to that same relationship or something like that. But I think on the flip side too, sometimes, to say you let the situation dead out or something like that, I feel like sometimes it does require to have that conversation too. Doesn't mean you should forgive and have the conversation, not to get back to where you were, not to be buddy, but just for understanding for both sides. So there's not even an opportunity for somebody to feel like, oh, you didn't really forgive me. No, we talked about it. I know how you feel. You know how I feel. Right. We cool. Right. We're not going to be on that same level no more. You know?
Absolutely, yeah.
So I feel like a conversation should be necessary.
And that's what I'm saying though, because I agree. And I again, the forgiveness topic, I say it all the time. It's a learning process, and it's something that I had to learn personally. But I definitely agree that if you have that conversation with someone, that you know what I mean, if you had that conversation, they understand. But let's be honest, some people will use that and say, well, you truly don't forgive me because we didn't go get the 2 for $2 appetizers at Applebee's or something like that together. So things ain't what it was. So do you truly forgive me? And I think a lot of times we use reconnection and going back to how things were before the act. That's a true act of forgiveness, because I'm able to I'm able to do the same things that we did before it happened. So you really forgive me because
the outside action, and I think that's something that's like really weird. Because I feel like in our generation, like when we come, I mean not just our generation, I think everybody deals with the situation. But when it comes to forgiveness, there has to be a physical interaction. There has to be something for everybody to see. Like if you notice, like just bringing like any type of popularity situation or people who are like dealing with like feuds or like if you have like rap beefs or whatever, like there's a letter that goes out from somebody that says, hey, like so and so says sorry to so and so for what's going on, and then you see a picture of them like next week at the BET Award or something like that.
They do a collab, they do a song
right?
Together or something
Yeah.
like
So
that.
and that's what I'm saying. So I feel like a lot of times like we media as well as like society feeds in our minds that like forgiveness has to be shown outwardly. So like if I'm forgiving my brother and we're not going together, then obviously it's not working. Like if we're not going to the movies or something like that, we're not going hanging out chilling or whatever, then we're obviously not like good. Which is the weird part because interaction, like I've seen a lot of people sit with people who they have not forgiven. I've seen a lot of people sit with people who they have not had a conversation with for years, and like
sitting there mugging each other the entire time,
or smiling in their face. Like what are we like? Is it like that's a real thing? That's a real thing. That's a real thing.
And look, that's true. But I think that comes from. It happens because, and I'll be honest with you, it's happened to me a couple of times in my life, and lifetime, not anything recently, but just in lifetime, because you allow a situation like me and Curtis was just talking about. Sometimes you don't necessarily address the situation right there, right? So you don't. There's not an established forgiveness. Like forgiveness, like I forgive you, you forgive me, is not said. But it goes back to what I was saying, and if we be honest, some of us are guilty of it. We do use the things we were doing prior to the action that happens as a sign of forgiveness. Right. You get what I'm saying? So I'm gonna chill with you, like I'm gonna come over here to you, like I know we had this beef, we did this, but I'm gonna come over here to you, and I'm just gonna start a conversation with you. We don't even talk about what happened. Like we don't even bring it up. Yeah. But we just glance over it because we're going back to things how it was. And sometimes what happens is it happens again.
It's a cycle. It's a cycle. Yeah. Like, so do y'all think that's toxic?
I was about to say,
like, because
I'm literally I'm in a situation like that right now, and I just had this talk with a group of friends about you. Like, even though you forgive, if you really allow yourself to get back to that situation again, where it's like, all right, this is a never-ending cycle. It's like, what do you do now, type thing? Because you really care about the person, but are you really going to sit there and allow yourself to keep going through the same thing over and over again? You keep getting hurt, and you know it's going to happen, but because you care about them, you're going to sit there and take it based off of your relationship with them. You know what I'm saying?
That's when you letting your own kindness be your weakness.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, I agree. I know. Well, that's another. I'll wait for that one. I'll wait for that one.
All right, so this might be flipping it a little bit. But this is like something I think all the time because I hear people. Do you know how people always talk about how God removes people out of their lives and all that stuff? Oh yeah, God's just been dropping. He's just been cutting people all off left and right. And most of the times I was sitting there, I'm like, why do people always try to put that on God? Well, I'm like, half of these situations, I think people need to look at themselves and understand that they don't have any resolve. They don't know how to resolve situations either. And because people lack resolve, they always want to blame it on, oh, I'm going to just let it go because God took them people
we
out.
blame
My
God for
like
everything.
It's called conflict resolution.
We blame
God.
We blame God for everything.
And we make him do everything.
Yeah.
But
We
that's
think
like,
he should do everything.
but even it's just like some people, the reason why some relationships or things fall out, like there's some situations I see where people could have easily forgave and just been cool. Right. But it's like you see people fall out all the time just because like there's no resolve. People don't have resolve. People don't know how to speak it out and just move on. And then they say, oh, I'm going to the next place and God just been taking people out of my life.
And then you need to start worrying about the fact that you dealt with the same thing with 4 other people. Maybe it's not them. Maybe it's you.
Yeah, it's for you. That's
maybe it's you.
It's your own test.
That's
right.
what pride
I mean, Jesus had 12 disciples. So
Well, this might dig into another subject or it might go go to another lane. But a lot of times, you have to ask for forgiveness because there's a lack of communication. Like a lot of times, like I was saying, we don't handle the situation right then and there. So what happens is they leave you and then they go to another person and then they have that same interaction with that other person, but they place the blame on that person. When if you would have talked to them when it happened to you, they would have got themselves together right then and there. You get what I'm saying? So it's kind of like a lot of things happen because there's a lack of communication and there's just a lack of resolve. Like again, a lot of us don't know, and I'll be honest with you, me personally, I had to learn it, especially as a leader. You have to learn conflict resolution.
It's hard.
Because
I struggle with that now. Like,
I mean, if I'll be honest with you, it's harder. It's so much harder now because 9 times out of 10, it's the people that's connected to us that we have to forgive the most, and it's the people that's connected to us that hurt us the most. Yeah. Which brings me to, I'm sorry, Tanya, brings me to, because Ron told us to do our study on this. It brings me to like my favorite story in the Bible is the story of Joseph. The story of Joseph is crazy.
Talk about it.
I'm sorry. The story of Joseph talks about, like, you know, it was Joseph's brother that sold him into slavery. They took his coat. They were jealous of him because he was their dad's favorite, so the dad gave him a coat of many colors, so he was just like, well, Joseph thinks he's all that. He told him the dream that he told his dad the dream, he told his brother the dream, right? They sold him into slavery, and we all know everything that happened to Joseph all the way down the line. Right. But y'all remember at the end, it came down to it where the land was suffering. They were going through a famine. He had told them there's going to be 7 years of harvest, there's going to be 7 years of famine. And what happened was it was his brothers that didn't prepare. So what happened is they had to come, and he was sitting high. He was sitting up by the king. He was sitting with them, and they had to come in. They didn't recognize, I think it was, they didn't recognize him, but he recognized them. And he was at a point where he did not have to do for them at all. You get what I'm saying? Because they had sold him into slavery, but he practiced forgiveness. You get what I'm saying? So it's honestly the people that's closest to us. It may be your family members, it may be your friends, maybe your loved ones that are going to do us. They're going to do us the worst. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So we have to, like, forgiveness sometimes, it's not the people that's in the classroom with us, it's not our coworkers. Sometimes it's the people that's closest to you who you have to practice forgiveness with.
So I have a question for y'all. So to tap into the conversation aspect, do you think sometimes the reason why people don't have those conversations is because it's a level of pride that they have?
For sure.
Yo,
definitely.
Pride comes into a lot.
It comes before the fall. That's what the Bible says. Come
before
the
the
fall.
fall. Before the fall.
Proverbs 11 and 2.
Let me tell you why I say that. Because I know a lot of people that can do wrong in a certain situation, but don't want to accept their part. And their pride will tell them, oh, well, I didn't do anything, so I'm going to wait for them to come to me. You understand what I'm saying?
No, see, I don't like the people who I just can't say sorry. Like, it's not in me to say sorry. What do you mean?
Well,
it's two words.
I know a lot of people like that.
That's a pride thing, but
It's a spirit.
But like,
it is.
Talk on it.
Well, what you saying, Tahim, it's not just that too. Some people, like, we have a generation and a culture now where people they're like, when they face these situations, they're conditioned to run as well.
Yeah.
So some people, they can't have those conversations. They're not capable of having them, you know. So, I mean, it's different for everybody.
I mean, I think a lot of times people didn't see how it went down. Because, like, honestly, and this is, going back, generational curses come up in everything that we talk about. But in reality, though, like, if I've never seen it, how am I going to figure it out? Right. And to be honest, like, when it comes to conflict resolution, like, even speaking from, like, the psychological standpoint, like, it has to be nurtured, bro. Like, there's nothing impossible. Like, there's no way that you can actually just think in your mind when you grow older, like, hey, when I get in a relationship, I'm going to make sure that I figure things out with conflict. No, it doesn't come like that. You have to see it.
Yeah.
Literally all we see is movies. All conflict we see is in, like, Medea plays.
And so in reality, like that all the time.
We see conflict in real life. We see conflict in our churches.
Yes, sir.
We see our church leaders beefing with each other.
Yeah, but we do see the resolution is the problem, though.
That's what it. We don't see them. There's such, like, and I'm not one to, like, bash against like the formation of different church groups and stuff. Like, everybody, because they have their own. But why is there such a disconnect and such distance between, like, every church body or something like that? Or, like, why is that?
Well, we all try to make it to the same place.
Well, all right. So all right. So to answer Curtis's question, I might be able to answer that. All right. So, Tahim said why. Your question was why don't people don't talk because it's pride or something like that.
Yeah.
All right, so I can talk to you from personal experience. A lot of times those conversations don't happen, and this might help your question. A lot of times those conversations don't happen because when the transgression happens or when the conflict takes place, the other party does not know that what they some things the other party doesn't know that they did.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's kind of like there's a grudge or there's like a disconnect because you did not state what happened to you or what I did to you. Sometimes
It's like a one-way grudge.
It's like well, they just stopped talking. Like,
Yeah, see,
I can really go down that line
Go
because
ahead.
I know like
ahead, Kyle.
there's been personal like settings. There's been personal times where people just cut me off or they cut you off, and like you honestly don't know what you did, and it's kind of like you don't know what you can't ask for forgiveness for something you don't know. You don't even know what to ask for forgiveness for. You get what I'm saying? So I think a lot of times in church it comes back to we don't practice conflict resolution a lot of times.
Absolutely.
When someone in church gets hurt, they get hurt and it happens in that setting, and what do? They
Pray
go
about it.
to their they only go pray about it. They go right
They
to their
jump to the
car
next, and they jump to the next church.
No, they don't. No, they jump into that group chat, or they jump into
gossip
that
about
chat,
it, talk about it.
or they go on to Facebook and they post subliminally about what happened to them, but they don't address the situation when it happens. So a lot of times, and like a lot of times you see that in churches where people get mad and then they just don't address it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
we
that's
don't
true.
practice conflict resolution in church. And if we be honest,
Step on toes.
ugh,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
That's what we're here to do.
Already here now.
That's what we're
because
here to do.
it's never been a pride thing for me. Like if I need to ask for forgiveness, I will never hesitate to ask for forgiveness if it's something that I know I did wrong. The issue that I have, and I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be open. The issue that I have is I don't do a lot of talking.
yeah, and that creates a different type of sticky situation.
Yes.
There's people who they will try to apologize through their behaviors because they're not verbal people. So you try to like go back to treating life as normal, and the person that the situation was in the conflict with, they're like, well, I'm waiting on you to say sorry, but you trying to act like nothing happened. So now that's creating a new wedge. And it's kind of like
Okay.
we just
But like
keep
when-
making this bridge a little more
you.
broke
But like-
every single step.
But like when I say I don't like, so it's I wouldn't even say like because the pride thing when it comes to asking for forgiveness, pride definitely stands in the way because we feel a lot of times that you did something to me first, so I reacted that way. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of times our pride sticks up, and it's kind of like we don't allow forgiveness to take place. But when I say I don't do a lot of talking, like there's been a lot of situations where I'm better off, and as a man, a lot of times I'm just better off just deading the situation. As a Christian young man, and I had to put it like that, I'm better off deading the
Understood.
situation.
Understood.
Brother Malachi. Because sometimes I just need to pray because I know you're not going to forgive. I know you're not going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Sincere in it. And it's kind of like, I'm just going to get mad. And if we be honest with you, our flesh does get in the way of not being able to accept forgiveness because sometimes a lot of people don't really mean when they say forgiveness. You know what I'm saying? So that's just Jakai as the fleshly man, as the human man. But like I said, we have to, like, forgiveness as a Christian is not up for debate. It's not negotiable. It's kind of like we have to let it happen. Like Ron said, a lot of times it's hard, but in order for us to move forward, we have to practice.
Yes, sir.
I feel you, Kai.
That's facts, though. Nah, he's
Nah, for real though. That's
No,
facts.
I feel you, but also like with that too, I hate like that feeling when you know, when you walking, you have to walk funny or walk weird in certain
eggshells.
situations,
Absolutely.
just because you didn't have that conversation.
Walk on eggshells.
Even like in there's situations where I'm like, I don't even feel like it was my responsibility to have this conversation, you know, things like that. Or, all right, for instance, I can think of a situation that we all know of.
Yes.
That I'm pretty sure we all thinking in our head.
Yes, sir.
Where like it's kind of like, I get what you're saying, and I feel the same way you do, but at the same time, it also feels dumb, like having to walk around funny because you didn't just simply have a conversation with somebody too, you know. Not to even fix it, but just to really
Yo,
understand.
we might have a counseling session right here, though. Slug. All right, so I
don't do free
agree.
counseling sessions.
I know, not free. I
Make
have
your
to.
money.
I have to agree. A lot of times, the conversation doesn't take place, and we are like. I'm not even going to use that as an example. I'm going to use another one as an example. There's been times where friendships have gone out the door because there's a lack of communication and you don't know you don't know exactly what it is that you did wrong. And that's where communication comes in. Because a lot of times, your mentality and mental health is also, you have to take that into consideration, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people will use other situations as a catalyst of taking it out on you. And then your situation is like, they didn't forgive this person for this thing, so they bring that into this friendship, and it's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you're paying for something else that somebody else did, and it's nothing that you did.
Yeah.
It's just that other person didn't.
Yeah.
You
messed
know,
it up.
they messed it up. You hear what I'm saying?
That's
Yeah.
baggage.
But that
No.
goes back. But it all goes back to still practicing forgiveness. Sometimes you have to practice forgiveness when they don't even say sorry. Like, you don't even get an apology. You don't even get.
The thing is, like, I definitely agree. And I think the situation that, like, we're dealing with, though, and, like, is that, okay. So forgiveness is, like, the first part of the situation, but there has to be clarity. Like, clarity has to be, I want to do that because I need everybody to understand that there's clarity in the situation, which means that, like, both parties know what the situation was, why you were mad, and then they know what's going to be the end result of the situation. That's why, like,
that's what I was trying to get at.
like, there has to be clarity.
So
has
I
to
got
be
a question though, because y'all been like, the topics I feel like that y'all been talking about like every week build on each other, right? So
Ocean deep.
right, ocean deep. So when it comes to, all right, so we talked about friendships, we talked about like stuff that happens in the church. What about relationships? So like,
get sticky.
if we
Pause.
talk like let's be
get sticky.
Pause.
Pause.
All right, so
All right, let's not say it like that.
I'm not even going to talk about like boyfriend and girlfriend situations. While we could, right? But from a spiritual aspect, right? Why do you think unforgiveness is why a lot of marriages don't stay together, right? And the reason why I say unforgiveness in marriages is because Curtis brought up the point where we don't allow the person to grow. And a lot of times it only takes one situation and we're ready to cast that person out, right? So it may have been like one cheating, and a lot of times it's not always cheating. It's cheating or just
could've been
a
something
certain
that happened
argument
before y'all got married.
Exactly, or certain arguments that take place, right? That it causes a division, and then from there it's like there's no settlements, there's no unforgiveness. So how does that? And this might be. I mean, we all may have, the answer for it, but like Slug or somebody else who may be able to answer that. What do you think that process is, or how, or why do you think it, like, unforgiveness in those situations happens a lot of times?
So when it comes to forgiveness in general, y'all said it already. It's all about communication. Right. Like, you have to communicate. 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, problems in relationships between friends or between even relationships with a boyfriend and girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever. It's all about communications. If you can't communicate, what is the point of having the relationship in the first place? Forgiveness is just another form of communication. In my
Absolutely.
eyes.
So
Yeah.
I'm playing devil's advocate too. Lord forgive me, but like, So like when I think it was Slug that brought it up, like or Ron or something like that. So when the first thing happens, why is it that we can't move past that? And it kind of like puts a wedge in the relationship. You get what I'm saying? Like you can't move on because every time you try to move on, it's like, well, you remember when that happened, and you remember when you did that. Remember, you get what I'm saying? That's not forgiveness. Ain't but you had the conversation. Yeah, it's not like you didn't have the conversation. You had that conversation, but it keeps on getting brought up.
To make it like sweet, yo, I think like memory is a blessing and a curse. You know what I mean? Like I can put like so many great things that happened in my life and be like, wow, like God, you've been so good. I could go back to that situation and do it again so we can make things work. Oh my gosh, that works out well. But then like there's other situations that like we bring up like bad things. And it messes with our mind, messes with our psyche because we're so stuck on that same situation that went down. So I mean, it's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. But let's talk to these comments real quick though, because Shannon, going back to what you were saying, like, okay, is clarity always necessary for forgiveness? For what I was trying to like clarify was that like when it comes to forgiveness, I think that's a part of the situation. But like clarity is like if y'all both want to like figure it out, then that's where it has to be. There has to be communication in that aspect, and then clarity after that. Because a lot of times people will forgive, right, and then have the conversation, but then never figure out where y'all are at that point. You know what I mean? So I think that's the situation I'm really talking about. But you can forgive somebody without even having a conversation. It's just that in reality, though, if you want the relationship to last, i.e., like more so dealing with like spouses, you would definitely have the clarity of like, hey, babe, like we have a situation. This is crazy. Let's figure out where we're at right now. You know, how do you feel about what I'm saying? How do I feel about what you're saying? You know, and that type of thing.
How do you know like how to differentiate which is something that you should forgive and let go, or what's something that can be like fixed without having that conversation? So because what you think may have happened may not really be all that there is. So you might be upset about something. I forgive you, but I forgave you about something that actually isn't even what I think.
Or that didn't happen.
Or like it's one of them type people that like that add on every time you do something. Yeah, y'all ain't talk about it, but they add on to it, and then it just the bottom tops.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you don't even know what you be forgiving.
I've personally been there myself. I've personally been there myself. I've been in places where I've held on to something for like so long,
and it was a whole other thing.
It took me forever to forgive about something. I finally forgave somebody for that, and then we had a conversation after I went and like struggled with something for all that time, and it wasn't even how I thought it was.
Right. Or like a situation where like you like let all these things bottle up, and then like especially like this is for like any relationship though, like you let all these things bottle up, and then the fact that they didn't say like God bless you after you sneeze, like, you know what, I'm freaking tired of you talking about me with all this stuff, and you bring up things from like 2004. We like, what? Like,
because I didn't say God bless you.
Yeah, but no, for real though.
But like all right, so Shannon kind of put in the comments like when she was she said, Nicole girl, because sometimes I don't even want to talk. LOL. Let me forgive, forget, and move on. And sometimes
peace sign. She said peace
sign and laughing emoji. But sometimes if I be honest, that's exactly it. Like certain situations. All right. So if it's with like one of y'all, like if it's with like my brother or my brothers, my sisters, like a family member or a real close friend, sometimes it's better to have that conversation because that's a friendship that's been years. Those are brotherhoods. Those are connections that's been years in the making. You know what I'm saying? So it's better off to have that conversation. Not saying that it's always going to work out on your behalf, but those are the better conversations to have. But there's some people that you meet and you just like, all right, and they do something and you just like, I'm good. I don't even like. Cool. We don't even have to have that conversation. Like, I'm good. Like, we cool. When I see you, it's not gonna be like a I can't be around you type thing. And that's something I had to learn how to just deal with. I'm gonna be around you. I'm just gonna have to deal with you, but I don't gotta be all buddy. We do not have to go to Texas Roadhouse and get the rolls and the lemonade and stuff like that.
That goes right back into what I said a couple weeks ago with like understanding the roles of people's life in your terms of like a tree. You have people who are leaves, and then you have people who are roots.
Absolutely.
Those roots, you got to make sure those are going to be good foundation because if your roots aren't strong, that tree is going to tip over. That leaf, They can fly with the wind,
But-
be gone.
But let's talk about the trees then. Let's talk about the trees because sometimes you can tell if someone is going to be, you can tell someone's fruits what they're going to be to your tree.
That's good.
You get what I'm saying? If you're not producing any fruits,
That's
you're
good.
not going to be any good to my tree. You get what I'm saying? So you get what I'm saying? So if I see your tree, it has no fruits. Why would I want you to be connected to my tree? Like, you get what I'm saying?
All of this, I think all of this is situational, is what we kind of getting at. Like, you have to really understand, like, you got to be able to differentiate, like, what has the fruit, what's worth actually salvage, or maybe not even salvage, what's worth having that conversation.
Yo, it's maturity and discernment, yo. Like the thing about it
honest,
is
bro.
that like when it comes to discernment though, you gotta be careful because like in reality, like you'll ask for discernment and God will give you like the whole spiel and you'll be like, I didn't want to know all that. Like I didn't need to know like she was going through that stuff. And that's a real situation. But maturity and discernment will help you like figure out who should be there, who shouldn't be there, how you should act on a situation and stuff like that. Because in reality, like the reason why trees don't have fruit because they weren't like properly managed. Like they weren't properly like taken care of. So I think in reality, like if they're not properly taken care of, like what are we going to do? Oh, y'all don't understand. All right, real quick, we just laughing because of dumb stuff. But like, yeah, like in reality,
Rub your head on my shoulder,
in reality though, like that's a real thing. Go ahead, Vaughn, preach. Get out of my
Devon
garden.
said, get out of my garden.
Huh? Nobody better be in that garden, girl. Uh-huh.
What up, I-9?
But no, but it's true. It's true. I think God will give you discernment on what situations. And I don't ever think God will tell you not to forgive a person. You get what I'm saying? But I do think. So I got a question.
Answer maybe.
And we may have answered that question already in the talk, but do you need to have a conversation with the person in order to forgive them?
You as in like us, like.
Because all right, and just a little bit back to my story. So there have been. I'm not just going to point out one situation. There have been a plethora of situations inside the church and outside of the church that I have never. The incident happened. We fought about it.
Yeah.
And I forgave that person, but I never had that conversation to forgive him. Like if I see him today, like I'm cool. You get what I'm saying? But we're not friendly. I'm not buddy with them. But I forgave them for whatever it is that they did.
Do they know about the offense?
Yes.
Then
All right, so in one situation, no. In the other situation, yes, because I have told them what my offense was, what the offense was.
I mean, doesn't the Bible say like if you have all with your brother, like go and like figure that out? It's
All
like-
right.
I'm just saying.
The
like,
question, huh?
I'm just saying.
Ebo shade.
Like I feel like, I don't think like I don't want to sit here and say that like, and this is the thing, bro. Like I want everybody to know, just because the Bible says it doesn't mean it's easy to do, because it's not.
Okay.
Like it's not easy to do, but in reality, like if we trying to live like the Christian men that we are, like we should always try to figure out things with our brother, right? Our brother, keyword brother, because like if there is like if there's not a plausible thing in a relationship, in reality, it's not going to mean anything to them nor to you. So you're not going to really worry about that situation. But if I'm like worried about it, then obviously I feel like there's more so a relationship that's like being like breached or like messed up. So you want to figure that joint out. You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, like I said, it's not easy to do. Like, it's not an easy thing to do at all. But talking to the person may be the best situation. Now, like, how do you talk to the person though? Is the question.
Nah, that's the hard part.
How do you talk to?
Well, even just whether we should have the conversation or not, more often than not, I'm leaning on the side that you should have that conversation. I'm gonna lean on that. Yo, y'all gotta chill. But hey, yo. But all right. So and also I'll say a lot of times God'll definitely let you know some of them situations too. Like you need to go. Yo, y'all have to chill. Hey, yo. So like.
Guys, we were really trying to get the situation. This is a very serious topic. But no, yeah.
Yeah, so, but it's one, all right, so me personally, all right, we good. Me personally, like, there's a one situation where I'm going through where, like, I was struggling trying to forgive somebody for something. I really thought I forgave them too.
Yeah.
But like God kept bringing that person up in a dream.
Yeah.
And it was about 4 different dreams. And
It'd be
every
weird
single
stuff,
time
bro.
I had a dream about that person, literally the words out of my mouth is, hey, yo, like, we need to talk about this. And we sat
sir.
down and talked in every dream,
Yes,
which
sir.
is kind of crazy. So I'm like, I definitely, some situations, like God's going to tell you, like, first of all, you need to go have that conversation.
Yes, sir.
But even without that, I feel like more often than not, having that conversation would do more good than harm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have the conversation, like, I think when you have the conversation, one, you can, all like figure out the situation with your brother, of course. But two, like, it also like I don't know about y'all, but like sometimes for me, like it's like the little wins that make me feel like so much better. And it's like, and the look like even like for those who are on a diet, like, oh, I didn't eat that cookie, like you feel like way better. You're like, no, God is good. I did not eat that daggone cookie, so we're good. But in reality, like that's a real situation, like the little stuff. So the fact that you even had the courage and or the maturity and the discernment to like figure out a situation or know that it was bad, and then say like, you know what, I'm gonna try to talk to this person, and even if it don't work, that can be enough to tell yourself like, hey man, like I'm growing. You know what I mean? Like, and sometimes you need that self-confidence to tell yourself like, you know what, I'm good. Everything's fine. Like,
That's where I definitely feel you at, because that's where something I've been like, I've been feeling like having those conversations, whether they work out or not, like it don't even have to, but like for me, like we all go back to like mental health and stuff. I feel like I always thought I was doing the right thing by just letting it go and forget about it. Oh, I'm cool, but like that stuff creep up on you when you think it's not going to.
I know. Me personally, me and y'all know my best friend Keith. We got into a real big argument one time, and like the next day, like we was mad at each other that night, that day. And then the next day, we called each other. He called me. He was like, "Yo, bro, I'm sorry. We hashed it out. But even when I felt like I was offended, I still apologized to him. You get what I'm saying? Because there may have been something that I said or something that I did that may have hurt him. You get what I'm saying? So I had to ask him for forgiveness just as he asked me for forgiveness. You get what I'm saying? And if I be completely honest with you, sometimes it's easier to do that outside of church than it is to do it inside church. Like it's easier to just have those conversations like with, if we be honest with you, we call them like our worldly friends than it is to have it in the inside, because a lot of times when you have those conversations, it's almost like people feel attacked or they feel like you just, you get what I'm saying? It's just a little difficult to have those conversations within the church because a lot of times we don't learn conflict resolution in church. Like we don't do good with conflict in church. We just hide it under praise.
My mother told me all the time when I was younger that, like, shout out to LaVonda D. Myers, Evangelist LaVonda D. Myers, but she told me that we never want to be so heavenly minded that you're not earthly good. So it means that, like, in reality, like, we can always serve God and always, like, believe that God do these things for us and we're, like, living out our situation through him. But there's also, like, tangible things, also, like, mental situations, like, that we have to understand to, like, better our walk down here, you know? And I think, like, conflict resolution is one of those keys because in reality, like, we're so eager and so ready to, like, just put it under the carpet and, like, and then we worry about how, like, when African Americans are death rate so low, like our age of dying is like so low because we're bottling up so many things. You know, we're not ready to talk about those situations. We're not ready to talk to our friends. We rather go like have an alt with them. We rather like have them feel in situation or leave them on red so they can feel as if a situation is going on and nothing goes on. That's horrible.
That's toxic.
That's horrible. That's horrible. That's horrible, bro.
I love leaving people on red.
That's horrible,
toxic.
That's bad, bro. And I'm gonna tell you what. Like, and the thing about it though is like and we never think about it from this standpoint, but like you're letting someone believe whatever they want about you.
That can cause my anxiety.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, leaving on red to be particular, that's going to be me forever because I'm not going to do that, but no, I'm not going to do that over text.
No, I get that. I get that.
Yeah, I'm not going to have a conversation like that over text because that's how things get misconstrued.
Right.
Yeah, I get that.
We're going to have to like talk face to face or at least over the phone, something like.
Yeah, I mean, as long as y'all having a conversation, that's cool. It's just that like some people just leave it up to like minds to wonder, and like I'm promising you, that's not okay. Like that's not good. You should have like some type of idea about what's going on, even if y'all like agree or disagree. Which in reality, I hate that word because I hate that phrase. Because I don't even think you can really agree to disagree. But in reality, like, if that's what you want to do, like, that's what you want to do. Let's have a conversation, though, you know?
I want to, my bad. I want to like talk on some of these comments. So Nicole has said, forgiveness is for you, not the other person.
Yeah.
What if it's years down the line and you never otherwise have contact? Do you seek them out just to have the conversation?
I'll speak for me.
That's good, Nikki. That's good.
Like years down the road, honestly, if you want to have that conversation, it should be for you, not for like the sake of trying to rekindle a friendship or anything, unless you really want to rekindle that friendship. Like if you were going years talking about, I don't talk to so-and-so because of what happened in 2011, there's a problem there. So I feel like that should be something for you. Like, I don't know.
But if we be honest though, there's that happens though. There's people like we don't that you just I don't want to say you cut off, but you just don't talk to like they. It may not be you don't talk to them, but they just don't talk to you. Going back to what I said, because you don't. It may have been something that happened that you don't know of.
Yeah.
Just cut you off. Like and I don't even. I'll go back to 2011. Like within the past couple of years, I know personally that's happened to me where I just get. You don't hear from that person. You don't see that person no more, and it's kind of like, well, what was it that I did? You get what I'm saying? But if they can't pinpoint it, it's kind of like, well, what am I? How can I ask you to forgive me? And then you just be like, well, I hope you can forgive me, but that don't even sound right. Forgive me for what? Because I don't.
They be like, well,
See, that's where I can't stay.
But also,
You know what you did.
Like,
wait a minute. I was about to step on a lot of like.
But it's even like that. It's like just cutting people off, just feel like over feeling like that. You just let them. You dead in the situation. You walk away. I feel like sometimes that just gives you like a false sense of you getting over something.
Ooh.
Like it's fake.
Talk
like,
about that.
You walked away. You walked away from that situation, so you don't have to deal with it. So the fact that you're not dealing with it, you think it's not there, but it's just not. It's,
All right, so
it's there.
raise your hand.
So I agree and I disagree. Because I can see in certain aspects you saying that you got over it, but you really didn't, because every time you see that person, it's kind of like you got a stank face and you got to.
Yeah.
But
you don't even know that you like that.
right.
Like,
But can I keep it 100 with you? I know that and let's be honest, Harrisburg is about the size of a Skittle. So if somebody in Harrisburg did you wrong, you're going to see them at Giant. You're going to see them at somebody's service. Well, now that'll be COVID. You ain't going to see them at service. You might see them on somebody's live. Right. But you'll see them at the grocery store. You'll see them at somewhere.
they probably friends with your friends.
Exactly. So I don't, it just goes back to I have been in an instance where the conversation didn't happen, and I honestly got over them. I spoke to that person when I saw them. I don't really have any like bad feelings towards them. But again, I'm just over it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean,
I can still be in
a
there.
situation like that. I definitely get it, but not everybody can do that.
I got you.
Like some people, like they say that they really got over it and that they don't have problems when they see these people again. But then I'm literally looking at them act funny when they see a person that they ain't had the conversation with.
Right.
You know, they think that they got over it, but I'm like, you really did.
Have you ever been in a situation where you had the conversation and that person just was like not sorry? Or
Yep.
just,
Absolutely.
just not.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
And that's when you get cut off.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I feel like it's more so like, hey, like if that's how you feel, man, like God bless you. Like I'll never not say what's up. I'll just be like, what's up? How you doing? But like like as far as like us like rekindling a relationship at that point, it's just it is what it is. And the thing about it though is that like Dubai. But I think the thing about it though is that people try to like play with your mind by saying, oh, like you're wrong for doing that. Like, are you really a Christian? Like, did you like your Christian values are really jacked up for you? You didn't like forgive me or ask me to like to be your friend again. Like, bro, like it's not even about that. In reality, like it's just more so,
I'm
hey,
gonna get some things wrong as a Christian.
Right, that's one thing. But two, like at the end of the day, man, if the relationship's dead, and we made it like that. But then also clarity at the same time too. So you should let them know, bro. Like I'm not moving the same way with you no more. Like, is that hard to say? Heck yeah. Like it's hard to say. Like,
Let's say you move on. So it's going to sound out of nowhere, but do you believe time heals all?
It depends.
Time heals all wounds.
It depends.
I think time does.
Okay, let me put it like this. I will say, I don't think necessarily time helps. I don't think it heals all the way. I'll say it helps.
Yeah, like the verbiage.
It's not as hard to deal with, but it doesn't go away because I'll say let one thing come up. You will initially feel those feelings that you felt years ago all over again, depending on what it is.
Right.
And then the question comes up, were you ever really over it? Because then if they say time heals, then time should have been able to heal all of that.
And move it, yeah.
In the natural state, like physically, time heals everything. You get a cut, time's gonna heal it.
Yeah.
It does not work like that, like mentally or spiritually, something like that. Like
Memories are crazy,
you have
man.
to actively work to like heal these things as well.
I think time. I think time helps. The reason why I fully can't say time heals all is because there's people who have had loved ones murdered 30 years ago, and I mean, they still can't get over that person killed them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they look at that person still, when they see them, they still have that hurt. I think it helps, especially when it comes to forgiveness, not to go that extreme, but when it comes to like having that conversation, I think time does help. Because honestly, if you ask me, it may be a maturity thing, but I try not to have
Nicole's in the house. She
Nicole?
said, but even a heel cut leaves a scar.
Oh yeah,
That's why I said
That's
what I
that's for
said
certain.
about
Yeah.
time heals. I mean, time helps, but it
Time
doesn't
helps.
always heal.
So then that goes. So then that exactly what she said goes back to the initial question: can you forgive and forget? Because if you've been cut, I have a burn on my hand, on my
I'm gonna go ahead and
on my
pin
arm.
that, Nicole.
But I mean, it doesn't hurt anymore. But I still
Time can be
remember
good
when
at
I got burned. You
Exactly.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because I have the scar, I will always remember that burn.
And the thing about it is that people don't understand that you unconsciously start doing things to like move away from that situation. Fun fact: like when I was younger, like I actually when I was like I think 5, I was running being dumb and I hit like the iron and the iron went down my leg. So I seen the scar. I remembered it, and my body, and like I literally remembered like feeling the burn and stuff like that. So I didn't do that. I didn't go near the iron anymore for a while, and I put like anxiety in my head. Therefore, like the healing process is like the cut's gone now, but in reality, my mind was still telling me, bro, I had to be careful around the iron because I remember that feeling. So it's just like in that sense, like the action of you remembering it like helped you to know how to make things work. You know what I mean? So maybe the healing from the scar can be that situation, but in reality, like to forget it, it's gonna be hard to because you're looking at it.
But like I was,
you know what I mean?
like I was saying with the time heals, I think for me personally, I wouldn't say it does. When it comes to having those conversations, I think time helps because if I allow myself to talk in the moment, then it might be.
It might not go.
Exactly.
I'm with
exactly.
you on that.
So and that's what I meant in the beginning when I was just talking about talking. You know what I mean? So that's what I meant. Like sometimes time, you gotta let some time go, and again, who knows how long that time is gonna be? And we can't put time limits on how long someone is going to get healed. You get what I'm saying?
But with that though, like I agree. I feel like time is necessary in certain situations. It's definitely necessary.
Time is money.
And time, in some situations, time can heal. But to say that time heals all, I can't.
Yeah,
But I
can't
think
agree with
that takes us back to when everyone was saying forgive and move on. Because, like, you still, like, it brings us back. It leaves a scar, but we're going to move on. We're not just going to be thinking about the scar that's there. Like, so that definitely ties together. What is Josh saying again?
He said something good.
Josh, he actually said a good thing right
Yeah,
there.
that was good.
Time helps. If you forget, What you've been through, experience, eventually things will repeat themselves. Forgive, move on, but change for others what you went through. That's kind of like
I agree with what Jared said.
What Keegan was saying with the iron. It's kind of with all kids. Like you touch something that was too hot, it's now like a memory stamp in your head not to do it again. So.
Yeah, I mean, I like what Jared said too. He said time will give each party time to think about their wrongs in the situation.
Good job,
But I love that. I think
good.
once again though, like, and I don't want to play like devil's advocate all the time, but in reality, it always goes down to like maturity and what you're really thinking about. Because like time, like I know a lot of people that grew up physically. You know what I mean? Like they're not 12 anymore. They're 26, but they still act like they're 9. So in reality, like it's just a more so, and that's no shade. That's a real situation. Though, you know what I mean? Like. It gets
I'll tell you what gets on my nerves as someone who does I'm learning to like I don't want to say I'm learning, but I do forgive and I try to forget. I think what irritates me the most is you will forgive a person for something that they did towards you, but the minute that you do it against them, it's like I can't forgive you, and then it's automatically everything you do reverts back to that same exact thing that you did. But you want, I'm sorry, Mal, but you want me to forget. You get what I'm saying? But you want me to forget what you did to me. You get what I'm saying? So I could step on your toe, like you could step on my toe, and I keep on using toe, but I don't want to get too deep into personal stuff. But you step on my toe, and then I forgive you immediately, right? And I'm like, oh, it's all good. But then I step on your toe, and it's, man, you always doing this. You did that, and it's like, well, dang, well, if that's how you felt, then you should have addressed that in the beginning. You know what I mean? But
it's hard though.
In your mic.
That was an accumulation of things, and they were just waiting for that one thing that was going to set it over the top.
Like I said, they hold that information in. When it bottles over,
that ain't good with me. I'm gonna tell you that.
For the third thing
that ain't good with me.
It's my fault.
Like that sometimes. Go ahead.
But once again, it's like situations that make things a little different because, like, if you're talking to your spouse, you're not just gonna be like, all right, like, I'm done with you. I'm seeing you later. Like, it's whatever. Like, they gonna bring up stuff that happened, like, in a situation just because they're mad about things that happen. So it reminds them of things. And we as men sometimes do the same thing. So it's just like, it all depends on, like, what the thing may be and, like, who you're talking to and, like, how we're talking to about it and all that stuff. But, like, it gets way deeper. Like, it gets way deeper.
What you want to say, guy?
Slug made a good point. That's true. I know me personally as a man, I do need time. Especially, I need that time. Like, it's not debating on the thing, but I need that time.
This table
like,
is done.
Like Jared said, time. It's not just for you, but it's for me. Like, let me think about what it is that that I did wrong. You asked me, do you forgive me? I forgive you, but like, just give me some time, and then we can have that conversation. Right. Like, we can talk about it. I don't automatically think talking about it right after it happens is going to help the situation because a lot of times after it happens. Like you're emotional, so you're just gonna be saying everything like
you was all
be coming up from years ago because you in the moment.
That reverts back to the last show that we did when we was talking about
multiple shows.
Up. But no, definitely because I was like, like when something happens, so I said like I need some time to like really like think inwardly before I can open up about something because, like you said, like if we're all opening up and have this conversation off of emotions. I don't think you're gonna really get clarity.
I know.
Especially right then and there.
Really think clear.
Yeah. And then you're gonna go into it. You're gonna go into it with a defense. You get what I'm saying? Like if you go into a situation right after it happens, you're gonna be on the defensive, and I'm not gonna be able to understand what it is that I did to you that made you feel this way. You get what I'm saying? Because the only thing I'm gonna be thinking about is how I felt. You get what I mean? So.
Yeah, you looking for an apology, but you're gonna end up getting something way worse.
Punch.
Oh my!
I'm gonna play the devil's advocate because Amber has said something in the comments, and she said time can be good and bad. So talk about where it can be good, I do agree. I do also feel as though time can sometimes be bad in the situations where people let situations stick with them and build up instead of really trying to figure them out. Like you said, you need time for yourself. So that when it's good, you need time for yourself to figure things out. But what about the times with situations with people where it's not really them figuring it out, it's just them wanting to hold on to the grudge?
Like them adding on to situations
Yeah.
or so? Like, Yeah, I mean that is good because I think a lot of times when like sometimes people have that thought process when time comes up, like they're thinking about more things that happen with the same situation, or they think about how the person is like living their life, you know, and they're like they see them on Facebook like going on vacations and they married and stuff like that, and they're like, no, but I really hate him because like remember he stepped on my toe, like that's really made me mad. That's crazy.
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why I say that though, because and it's good that we have these conversations because I feel like these conversations apply to our lives. I know at least for me, because right now I'm in a situation. Right now I'm in a situation like that where I'm seeing that people that were once my friends or like were once my peers that I really fool with because of a situation that happened and they're no longer in my life the way they were. It's like they're holding on to a grudge because I decided to let go of something because it was best for me to do. Not necessarily because, I don't want to be friends with you anymore, or I don't want to do this or do that, but it was best for me to let go.
As for me and
Go ahead.
No.
God. Go ahead.
So for real, I agree. But it goes back to what Nicole said, and we all know that forgiveness is not for them. Right? Because for real, whether you forgive them or not, if they still abide by the word of God, they going to make it into the pearly gates.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But if you die and you got unforgiveness in your heart, you're not making it in.
Right.
So forgiveness is for you. On the other hand, you just gotta. How can I say it? If they can't get past, if they're just holding on to that grudge, you did what you had to do. You honestly did what you had to do. It's time to move on. It's honestly time to move on. That's when you have to cut. And a lot of times some people hold on to grudge because they're bound. Like that's bondage. Like being able to hold on to grudge and that happened years and years ago. Like, come on, like that's bondage, right? So that's why you ask for forgiveness. Now, whether they forgive you or not, that's on them. They're supposed to. That's what they're supposed to do. But you ask for forgiveness or you forgive them. If they still want to hold on to the grudge, then let them go ahead and be bound. Let them be shackled up. Let them be this and that. You get what I'm saying? But God is going to honor you because number one, you forgave and you asked for forgiveness. You get what I'm saying? And like we always have to go through this forgiveness process and this life process of, it's so cliche, but like what would Jesus do? Like Jesus was dying on the cross, and what did he ask? He said, Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do. What also happened? He forgave the man on the cross. Bishop Ravenel always got the message, Mr. Choice and Mr. Chance, right? And while he was being killed, he still took the time out to forgive him. He said, this day you shall be with me in paradise. You get what I'm saying? So if God can do that,
teach the people.
Who are we? You get what I'm saying? And again, what if God held on to grudges? Right. What if God held on to grudges the same way we held on to grudges? If God held on to grudges, there will be no need for grace.
Right, at all.
Grace,
at all.
There will be no need for grace, and there will be no need for God, Jesus dying on the cross.
At all.
If he was going to hold on to the grudge.
There'd be no possibility.
We will be completely damned. Like Adam, you ate that apple. You're done. I'm not sending my son. I'm not forgiving you. Y'all just go ahead and be you. I don't want to. I asked you to do one thing, you couldn't do that. So why am I forgiving you?
See,
I think the thing.
What if God did?
Yo, when it comes like, we getting like, yo, we're getting. My fault. You want to talk about? Go ahead. We're getting like so deep, but spirituality, it really is deep. Because if you think about it, yo, when it comes to Jesus, bro, like the thing about it is that like, if Jesus wasn't here, if Jesus never died on the cross, we would have no recognition for our sins. Therefore, we have to deal with our own situations. The problem is, people think that if Jesus never died on the cross, there wouldn't be a heaven. There's still a heaven. It's just harder to get there. It's just harder. Exactly. We just want to be in it. But like, exactly. And the thing about it is that like, people don't understand that Jesus, it was the scapegoat. So everything that I'm doing is on him. Like that, everything that I did is on him. And like the reason why I can make it to heaven is because I believe that he died for it. You know what I mean? And
but what makes the cross so much more powerful is he died for the sins of the world. So there was people that weren't even there were people on this earth that didn't even commit sins yet. And he died for that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What if God held onto that grudge? I'm only dying for these people that's down here. Now, when the rest of them come, I don't got somebody else got to come.
No, I don't even know them like that.
I don't even know them like
Yeah,
that. But
I'm
that's
cool.
how. But that's how we gotta. That's how we have to see this forgiveness. And again, it's not easy because again, we're not God. We're not Him. You know what I'm saying? We're made in His image, but we are completely
Born
we're,
into iniquity.
we're not Him. You
Born
get what
into
I'm
have
iniquity.
to ask
Exactly.
the Father or the Holy Spirit because the Son ain't coming again.
Right, you know what I'm saying. I did my work. You get what I'm saying. But but that's real stuff. And like we put what's the word? We put conditions on our forgiveness. And what if God did that to us? What if God was like, the only way I'm gonna forgive you is if you never did that again. But God knows we're gonna do it again. So like. It's almost like setting us up for failure. But even I'm sorry, and I'm done.
You're good.
Like even when we do sin, the Bible says, "You have an advocate. I gave you this." You get what I'm saying? So you can come back to me, and I will forgive you. But you have to have a sincere heart, and I think that's where like forgiveness and being forgiven and repentance comes into alignment. You get what I'm saying? Because God forgives us, and that's cliche, but He really does.
That's every day.
That's why within my every morning prayer, I always make sure to hit on repentance. Always make sure to hit on thanking Him for being the God of another chance, not just a second chance, because some of us blew that a long time ago.
40 years ago. It's crazy, yo. Cause in reality, man, and I'm not, and don't get me wrong, there's not like I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm like we are all like the Christians of Christians, like we just serve God in every way. Like no, everybody has sin, falls short of glory. But the thing about it is there's such a freedom in walking in like the correct way of doing things, and the correct way was like the biblical way, man. Like God wants us to forgive. He wants us to not necessarily forget situations, but He wants us to live in purity, live in happiness, live in like freedom. And like once we walk in that, like we'll understand that the things in this land, that like it's a guide, bro. It's a blueprint. It's a blueprint, and everything comes to our way. Like my thought process has always been, it's kind of going off topic a little bit, but my thought process has always been that we are living in a world that God created, So everything that is around here has an automatic, we have an automatic key to it because we are in an image of Him. Therefore, I have like the keys to the land. I have freedom. I have joy. I have peace. I have all this stuff, long suffering, all that stuff. The problem is that we don't know how to properly walk into it.
Right.
And that's the thing and that's the problem. Like we need to properly walk into forgiveness. And when we properly like walk into that, we'll have so many things. So like, we won't worry about anxiety. We won't worry about depression or like all this other stuff. When we walk into that forgiveness peacefully and like end it peacefully, like it will be a place that we can like nothing can match that spot.
I feel like we need to learn how to forgive ourselves for different things.
Absolutely.
We ain't touched on that.
Ooh. Yeah. Wait, get there.
Also, learning to forgive ourselves from different things, and also learning how to tell ourselves no, because there's been a lot of situations where you can want to lash out and like come at people a certain type of way because of what they did to you, but that's also learning how to tell yourself no. Don't do that.
Testimony.
Don't say that.
That's
just gonna make it worse.
Can we talk about forgiving ourselves? Like, is it like? Do you?
I personally think if you can't forgive yourself, there's no way you're gonna forgive anyone else.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know.
Only reason why I think like that's a good question is because like okay.
But
so
it goes.
Sometimes it's hard.
But
Sometimes it's easier.
Forgiveness goes back. It doesn't matter who it is. Like if you, God knows even when you're not forgiving yourself. Like I feel like forgiveness is just it's a full circle thing. If I forgive you, I have to forgive myself. God knows our hearts. You get what I'm saying? God knows the things that we've done. God knows the things that we did and that were not pleasing to His sight. And while He forgives us, it's a hard task. It's a hard task to forgive ourselves because it's almost like if you did something. Somebody tried to attack me. I'm gonna kill it in a minute. But seriously though, if you, it's almost like not like doing your mom wrong or something, doing something against your mom. Like she'll forgive you, but you know, like, it hurts you to the core that you made her upset. So it's almost hard for you to forgive yourself. But if God forgives us, I feel like we should take the initiative to forgive ourselves. Like, it has to happen. I don't necessarily think that if you can't forgive yourself, that you can't forgive people, because there are people who are quick to forgive somebody when somebody else did, but you can't forgive what you did to yourself.
I think when it comes to forgiving somebody else, though, you can see the tangible thing that happened. Like, you don't think, like, honestly, yo, like, there's sometimes when you're doing stuff that you don't even understand what you're really doing or what's happening or how it affected yourself. You know, so I feel like sometimes it'll be harder to, like, deal with, like, you know, forgiving yourself for that same situation, because in reality, that's not, like, you know, it's not that big of a deal to you.
So I want to, my bad. I want to go in the comments real quick. So Nate said, sometimes your biggest enemy is yourself.
Absolutely.
That's facts. And that's going to the whole thing of trying to forgive yourself or forgiving others and not forgiving yourself. A lot of times people put on a facade of really false forgiveness. When I say that, no, I'm not even trying to be deep. I'm being honest. Like, sometimes they put on the facade of, okay, I forgive you, but really, in reality, like, they have things they're still holding on to, and they really haven't forgiven you. They're saying that they do, which he you know, talked about, but you're not really forgiven, which is crazy, but that's facts. And then Jade also said, "Don't take."
I want to get into Jade's, because Jade's kind of is how the response I had to, like, this time heal, all things like that. Mm-hmm. There has to be work.
Be praised.
There has to be work put into, like.
All right, don't do that thing.
There has to be work put into, like, any type of forgiveness.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Whether there's time there or not, like, time helps, but you have to work whether you're forgiving yourself or forgiving somebody else. Yeah. You know, like, there has to be work towards it. Just saying, "Oh, I forgive you," is not real forgiveness.
That's true.
That's not it. That's just you saying, like, that's when you lose in a game, you're like, "Oh, game's over." You still lost.
Okay.
Like, what you mean? Like, it's the second quarter, you down, but you got 21, but, like.
So I have a question, though, because I just mentioned, like, before in the beginning that, like, okay, just because you forgive don't mean I have to, like, go to the store with you or go to the movie with you. No. So I'm curious. So what does that work look like?
The work is, like, just saying that you forgive somebody isn't you actually getting over the situation or moving past that situation.
Got you.
There's work, like, and not. When we say work, it doesn't always be something crazy or, like, I don't have to, like, go. I don't always have to see a therapist to forgive everybody.
Right.
But, like, you have to inwardly, like, you have to actively forgive somebody. Right. Like, just saying it is not forgiveness. You have to actively forgive. Yeah. Like we said earlier, like, people say they forgive all the time, but then you see them walk past somebody that they had a problem with, and then they start acting funny.
Right.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
Man,
that's good.
Yeah, forgiveness can go so many different ways. I think the moral that we're just trying to get with is, like, guys, like you should. It's hard, but, like, we should want to walk in forgiveness. It's not the easiest thing in the world. Everybody, like, is not deserving of the forgiveness, but, like, in reality, like, neither as human beings and also as Christians, we are not worthy.
Who are me?
Who are we to judge?
Who are me
to be forgiven? But in reality, like, that's a real thing. So.
Yeah, I think like Keegan said, like, there are people that are unworthy of forgiveness. If you think about it, they're just unworthy of forgiveness. But if you think about it, if God can forgive the murderers and forgive people who do, like, the gutter low, like, we all know what gutter low is. Yes. I think someone. And we just using this all around, stepping on your toe, that you should be able to forgive them for that. Because there's things that we have done, again, spiritually talking, there are things that we have done that we have sinned against God. We have done things contrary to what God has told us not to do. You get what I'm saying? It's not, like, I'm not going to go down that line, but there's things that God has told us not to do, and we still do it anyway. We still do our own thing, but God still forgives us for it. You get what I'm saying? But also going back to not taking advantage and not taking advantage of that forgiveness. You get what I'm saying? Not taking advantage of the grace that God has given us. You get what I'm saying? So I just think, and like Slug said, forgiveness is it's a daily process. So no one is ever going to be an expert on forgiveness because we have not seen everything in life. Nope. You know what I'm saying? Everything in life has not come our way, but forgiveness is a process. And I feel like if if we are true about it, if we open up our hearts to it, I feel like that's just something that, can be worked on.
Yeah, I need these tacos to be forgiving of me though, because I'm looking real husky on this camera.
Oh my God.
Shannon said that's why he's God and I'm just Shannon.
Yeah.
Holler.
Hallelujah.
Hollering.
But Shannon, who are you striving to?
Uh-huh.
Don't you want to make it to heaven?
Who? Wait.
Don't you want to be Molo?
No.
Molo.
Happy Molo.
No. But okay, so I hear that. And if we be honest, naturally speaking, that is true. We are not God.
Yeah.
But like I always say, I don't know what I would do if God had conditions on his forgiveness. Hell would be our portion. And y'all see how hot it was today?
Yes.
And how hot it's been all week?
I
don't know. Where you are not God, I am not him. But I want to walk in his ways.
I want to be Molo.
I want to be Molo.
We want to be honest. We want to be closer to God.
Close. Be right here.
Man.
Hear the song yet?
I want to be Molo.
How can you forgive people?
Closer to God.
That's crazy, man.
I really don't want to hear Tahim
wild.
on that.
All right,
playback.
y'all good?
So we got a comment says it says how can you forgive people who don't like us? I mean, I think we had talked about it a little bit, but in reality,
Move on.
yeah, I think you got forgiveness is always going to be for yourself. It's never going to it's not going to always be for someone else. Like if you're doing it for the sole purpose of trying to gain a relationship back, okay, but in reality, you should always know the repercussions of the situation, which may be that you feel better and they don't,
Yep.
So, that may be the situation, you know what I mean? So I hope that was helpful to that situation. Yo, a first class seat in
First class.
No, they said a lake of fire. How's that even possible?
What,
I'm
a-
scared.
That's
wild.
Whole first class.
Gasoline draws.
If y'all want to know anything about hell, read Revelations, though. That joint will freak you
good.
all the way
Go watch Clash of the Titans.
out.
Oh, shut up. Look who just decided to join in. Nene Evans. Oh, my
Nene
Lord.
Evans.
My daughter
Chris would be late.
But Shannon got a point. Hell would be our portion.
First class.
Easy.
Seat, dipped in
A
gasoline.
Full plate of hell.
Dipped.
Nah, submerged. Submerged.
He's just submerged.
Full plate.
Just sit right there.
We would all be on a yellow bus.
Black God.
Yeah.
Big God, big God.
Nate said, how can you forgive someone who kills your family member?
Nate.
Ocean.
That's good.
Yo, honestly, I don't think we can tell you
That
that.
takes prayer. That takes prayer. I
We can't tell you that.
The most I can tell you is
You
it
gotta
takes-
talk
it
to
takes
God about
prayer.
that.
It takes
Yeah.
prayer.
We can't help you with that situation.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's oh my.
same
That's
boat.
And forgive
that's-
us our trespasses as we forgive those
In the same boat,
who
Nate.
trespass against us. Honestly, I can't tell you, because honestly, I've never been in that predicament.
We want to
honestly.
be Molo. How about
But
that?
I would just ask you, it's some things come by fasting and praying, and a forgiving
Absolutely.
heart. For that, you need prayer.
Therapy.
You need God. You need God.
Therapy.
Yeah, like I said, we can't tell you.
Slug.
Only God can tell you.
He's
to get
perfect
through that.
for it. Therapy.
No, look, man. Look, guys. The Lord's been good, but I'm trying to say therapy is a thing, but in reality, okay, yes, go see a therapist because it's always good to talk to somebody about a situation. But you are some things do come through fasting and praying, and I think you really need to get rid of them McDonald's plates and them Happy Meals and really think about what's really happening. Because in reality, it's that deep. No, it's really that deep.
Please.
Go to oh my gosh, Jared, he's a clown. But
Go
nah,
to him in prayer.
But no, that's a real thing. Cause I'm telling you, fasting is it really changes your thought process. Cause a lot of times people think it's just you getting rid of food, but in reality, you're focusing on something. You're focusing on what you need. And when you have a need and desire in your heart, God will kind of move that way. I think the Psalms that says I'll give you desire in your hearts if you delight yourself in Him. Therefore, delighting yourself in Him is choosing not to eat, choosing not to do things, choosing to pray towards Him, and then you can get the answer that's needed. Because honestly, I don't think a therapist can tell you to not go smack the other dude who killed your
I got
brother.
a good question though.
Go ahead.
So y'all remember when the woman police officer walked into the house and shot the man that was sitting in his living room? And y'all remember when they went to court You remember when he went to court? And the brother
Yes, sir.
of the guy that got shot and killed
Yeah.
hugged
her.
He forgave her. He forgave her, right? He said he forgave her. But he hugged her in the courtroom. Like, how did, like, honestly, and this may be like a different subject, or I may fit in. How did y'all feel about that?
If I was him, I would have hugged her and I had a skillet in my hand.
Could
So
y'all
when I
have
hugged
the,
her, I hit her in the back of the head with the skillet.
is that something y'all could have done?
That
Hugging
To be
right
honest,
there brings us back to that
I
thing.
I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Wouldn't have been able to do it.
But and also like people were bashing him as well. People were bashing him for that, and I'm like, you know what? You can't tell a man how he should get through and cope with that.
That's a level of respect right
Yeah,
there.
and-
It's not respect, it's maturity.
Yeah,
Like,
and
No, I'm saying.
and I get well, people were
hugging her is
upset because
maturity?
they're like,
no,
okay,
like the part of, I'm sorry to cut you
No, you
off,
good.
but like, in forgiving her and hugging her and letting her know, like, maybe he did, like, at that point, I forgive you. That's the maturity that we're talking about, and discernment. Like, what do I look like living?
well,
No, when
and
I said
think-
level of
well,
respect,
a lot of,
I was
hold
saying
on, hold on.
us.
A lot of people were upset with that situation because if am I not mistaken, I think she got like way less.
Yes.
She got way
did,
less
yeah.
time, and people were upset, and they're like, you gave the judge, you gave them kind of like another image to see this lady in, which I get. And do I think that it helped their situation? No, I think it made it worse in the court
Yeah.
situation. I don't think that was a good time to do that either. But how could we tell this man how he should cope with his family member being killed?
So and so that's where I was a little torn because I can't tell you how to cope or how to go about that. But just for me personally, I just felt the hug was just a little too much. That's just me. The forgiveness part, I was with him. Not that I could have done it straight like that, but I respect him for that.
Yeah.
But I just feel like the hugging and
I mean,
No,
no,
you
I think,
also-
I think
You also
everybody has
know-
the.
and not to be like pessimistic
That
or something
person.
like that,
I got
but
you.
just always that. And and especially in church, it's always that person
Yep.
that tries to like
Yep.
that tries to use their morality or anything like that to kind of.
Yeah.
I don't even-
Yeah.
y'all
No.
know- y'all know.
I get.
I
No,
don't
I
even
get
gotta
it.
explain it. Y'all
I
know.
get it. I get it. I get it. Yeah. I don't know. I think it always goes down. It always goes down to like, you know what I mean, like who, like your thought process. You know what I mean?
Says she gonna
But no,
harm him.
Shannon, I don't.
but that's
People
facts.
aren't wrong. People also aren't wrong for feeling the way they felt about it because I felt the same way. But at the same time, I had to think about it a little bit more. I'm just like, yo, like, I don't know what this dude's going through either because
Right.
I've never been in that situation.
But just like we said, forgiveness is freeing you. So
Yeah.
that might have been what he needed to do
Yeah.
Absolutely.
in order to sleep at night, in order to go about the rest
Right.
of his life. It probably,
Yeah.
that freed him. You get what I mean?
Yeah, everybody's clarity is different. It's just like but it's hard though because like from the outside looking in, like we guys in the real world, like in this situation, we're definitely the peanut gallery because we do not know how he felt and whatever's going on. So
Yeah.
like, who really cares what we think? But in reality though, like some people have different ways, and like if you need that clarity, then by all means get your clarity, man. Like that's how I really feel about it. Like would it have been me? No.
No.
That's not my clarity. But in
would've
reality, like I understand that's not my clarity.
mine.
That's not my
Yeah.
clarity at all.
Yeah,
But-
I would
but in
honestly.
reality,
I would have came
yeah.
back too. I would have came back.
On some like haunting him, on some like probably.
I'd be like, hold up, Lord, I got some unfinished
Lord,
business.
let me do one thing real quick.
I'll be Molo.
But no, that was more one that's more relevant to the topic. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Being able to forgive that. So, but no.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? We ready to wrap it in, guys?
I don't know. Are we? How deep? How deep we
We'll
in this
give
joint?
y'all like another
Yeah.
minute or two.
Yeah, let's make this a question time. If y'all got any questions.
Quick
Ask
Q&A.
y'all questions.
Q&A. Yeah.
I had
Listen, I just want to say before the comments start rolling in, I enjoyed this. Like, even though each week does get better from our point of view, I hope it does for y'all as well. I would say this is probably one of my new favorites.
Yeah, I think
Last week was
Last
good.
week.
The
last week,
show,
like dog. So last week
That
and
last show
last
got
week
deep.
and the disconnect were probably my favorite
my
too.
favorite one was when y'all was in here.
The
last time y'all
disconnect.
was at the
That was
church.
the disconnect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disconnect. and last week was real. Last week was real good. I like this one too because it's almost you have to not practice what you preach, but you have to eat the words that you say. Like you be talking about forgiveness, right?
Live it.
So
Live it.
So, and lie to you not, right? We talked about forgiveness today. Watch. I'm not trying to be deep and spiritual.
Absolutely.
But there's going to come a time where what we just talked about today, it's going to be tested on us.
Going through it right now.
You get what I'm saying? It's going to be tested on you. So you gotta know how to handle it when it happens. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
We just talked about it, so
Appreciate you, Rel. Appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, Jarrell, appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you too, Shannon.
yes.
But also,
Thanks,
I feel
TT.
like those
Thanks, TT.
our last 3 episodes today,
Thanks, Brian.
the last 2, they're also intertwined as well.
Yeah, facts.
Especially last week and this week, like honestly, we could have talked about forgiveness with the last episode.
Yeah.
we
And
could've.
would've-
I feel like we flew right into it, though.
So, yeah.
Because oh my gosh, can we be honest with you, bro? Y'all generational curses.
Was a good one.
The way y'all, the fact that y'all started out with that, I think that was y'all first one. First, the second one.
Second one.
The way y'all have really been, it's been stacking.
How y'all know what episode we
It's
on?
been stacking. Can I tell y'all why? Because, how can I say this? If we be honest, generational curses start because there has not been I'm not going to say it starts this way.
But you on to something.
both, though.
because
You definitely on to
there
something.
has not been forgiveness between parent and child.
Yeah.
That's a
Or
big piece
uncle
of
and
pie.
child. Or like,
Uncle and child.
That's
Dog,
a big
like,
Family and child. So what happens?
generational curses.
So what happens is I have not forgiven my parent. I have not forgiven my loved one. And what happens is we raise up another generation in that negativity, negativity, in that unforgiveness.
That goes back into what Keegan was saying with nature and nurture.
Yeah.
What you see is how you act.
Bro, it gets deep because like
And what?
Yeah, it gets.
And what
yo,
happens?
go
Oh
ahead,
my
go
gosh!
ahead,
And what
go ahead.
happens was
Quicken?
what happens is the very oh my gosh, the very thing we did not forgive our
The
parents.
piece is going up.
The very thing we did not forgive our parent for
We
or our
end
loved
up
one for, we end up doing to the next generation.
Hello.
Right.
Yeah.
Hello.
Right.
Lights.
Yeah.
And
Like,
we just repeat it. We repeat it because we have not handled that unforgiveness at the root. I'm
It
preaching
gets
to
so
myself.
deep. It gets so deep.
Jarrell.
As soon as he said it, Jarrell posted it.
Root.
The root. I'm telling you, yo, it's really.
It's a cycle.
Yo, and it doesn't, and it gets. But the thing about it, though is that the cycle thickens. Like it does not get smaller. Like it thickens.
It gets bigger with
Therefore,
every issue.
like you have like grandmothers who dislike grandchildren. How can someone not like their grandchild?
Bro,
Because the daughter did them dirty. Come
like,
on,
let's,
bro,
let's go back spiritually. All right, so if we be honest with you, when Adam and Eve, when they sinned in the Bible, that was a generational curse.
Started
And,
right
they-
there.
and from the time that happened up until the time that Jesus went to the cross, there had not been no resolution for that. So everything that was happening was just almost it was like a ripple effect from the first thing. So God had to come in and be like, we gotta take care of this because we cannot continue in this. Now what's happening now? What he sent his son, so we have the grace factor and stuff like that, so we can go back to him for that. But could you imagine if God did not take care of that situation when it happened?
Right.
Like think about though, because it's crazy because like in reality though, like what you're saying with Adam and Eve, bro. Like if you really out, like one time I was really like trying to dig deep into the story, yo. It's really deep because like. Yo, so many things happened. They did not know like they were naked and like they were just doing whatever they wanted to do. It was
What a
fine.
time.
Like they were like, you said what?
What a time.
What? Oh, he's wilding. But not what a time to be alive. But what I'm saying is that like all that stuff was going on, and then like, but if you think about it though, it's really crazy because like the things that are natural to us now like weren't supposed to be.
Right.
Yo, like the guy literally
Everything
told
was
Eve.
designer.
God literally told Eve, "Hey, like you now have to be subject to your husband, right? And then childbearing is going to be hellish for you." It was not supposed to be like that.
Yeah.
Working.
Yo,
We
none
not
of
supposed to
that.
be wearing
We're going to be
clothes.
in the land.
We
not supposed to be wearing clothes. Yo, before we were wearing clothes, all things, it was everything designer. Y'all not understand that. We was designer from head to toe.
Sit down.
Designer.
Yo,
no,
like, I mean, yo, we laughing. Yo, we laughing.
real.
But that's real. Yeah,
but
that's real.
bro, but that's so real. And again, but again, we gotta. Going back to your episodes and stuff like that. That generational curse is so broad because literally everything that y'all have talked about from last week, we were talking about not being able to open up, and now we're talking about forgiveness and stuff like that. It just all overlaps, and because I see it all the time.
But I say it all the time. Like I see it all. Like I say it all the time. Yo, we need to go back to that episode.
Yeah, like we need number two. Number two. Yeah.
Live.
But we've gone back to it.
Yeah, we've been dipping in and out.
We picked at it because it was so good. I think it's time
We
for us
already gonna do a disconnect too, and if y'all want to do a generational curses too, we can do that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think because like, bro, generational curses, it once again, it just goes like deeper into things. Like, we're talking about like not just like forgiveness with like people. We're talking about relationships. We're talking about like different stemming like financial ideas. We're talking about a lot of things. Like you're like basically guys, like your life in a sense is like basically going around a situation of a generational like thing, you know. And I almost say I say thing and not curse because not all things that were like passed on for generations are bad things, but in reality there are a lot of situations that we don't know, you know, what that could be a generational curse that we didn't think about, and it just it goes like so deep, man. Like I don't even know.
I think that's that episode should be on. I feel like going back to the basics.
That is especially when it comes to forgiveness, that generational curse. Because if we be honest, there are things that our loved ones have not. There are things that our generation has not forgiven the previous generation for,
And so on and so forth.
and they have not forgiven the previous generation. So we're just living in unforgiveness, and we're sitting on dormant feelings because we don't open up.
Dormant.
About the things that
Communication.
exactly we're not open up about that. So we just continue to feed the cycle. So there needs to be something that helps to open that up. You know what I'm saying?
But then don't be the person that tries to open that up, tries to break that cycle though, because then you have like toxic people who are family members. I'm sorry, this is just real things. Like in general, like toxic people who are like family members who are just so ready to stay into one realm. Therefore, like you try to break that cycle, break that situation, and they're upset with you. Because like now you're talking to the grandma that didn't want to talk to you. Now you're talking to the uncle that raped somebody twice, like 2 years ago, or something like that. Yes, that's the thing. Can we forgive in that generational curse? Can we forgive the fact that we are living in a generational situation? Like that's a real deep situation, man. Like,
well, guys, I definitely want to. Again, I thank y'all for letting me be on this podcast.
Hey, man.
I speak so many blessings. I said this to y'all before, but I just speak blessings to you guys and everything that you guys have individually and collectively as a pod show, as a collective. I just pray that God continues to open up doors and gives you the topics to talk about, to break not just generational curses, but to also bridge the gap. Yes. There is a generational gap. There's generational curses. There's generational gaps. There's just things that I feel like this is the cornerstone. This is going to be the thing that helps that. So I just pray that God continues to give you those ideas and those topics to talk about.
Thanks, I think I can speak for all of us in saying thank you for coming on.
Yes,
Thank you for keeping these views real nice.
This is good.
Thank you.
Like honestly, I really honestly. I listen to you guys, and I be typing like it's a delay. It's a delay on the on the thing, but I be typing all the time because like a lot of what you guys say is so pertinent, and it's like things that we don't have these discussions. We don't talk about these things all the time, especially in the atmosphere of church. They become so taboo. But I thank you guys for let's just talk about it. Let's talk about it. We got to talk about it. We can't continue to sweep things under the rug.
Yes, sir.
And just want to let y'all know.
Nate, shut up.
We put down about the Cash App. I want to be very clear with y'all. we just put that there in case y'all want to add to the show or something like that. Everything will be used for us to further this further experience for y'all.
Absolutely.
So we can get some better equipment.
Yep.
You know, be able to do a better show, put on some better quality for y'all.
Oh, and a shout out to the Rock Church once again for hosting us.
Pastor
Bless you.
Brother Jared for working the sound for us.
Bless you.
All right.
Whoa. Hold up.
Nate.
Nathaniel Blake.
Oh my.
I was just gonna pass by.
Be Molo, Nate.
No. So
No,
this is it.
do not be Molo.
Get your team.
We've been ready.
Assemble your
And we
crew.
ready.
Assemble your crew.
People
We've
don't
been
even want to
ready.
play with him, but they don't want to play with him.
I'm terrible, but I guarantee you I could beat you.
And that says a lot.
That says a lot.
Wow.
That says a whole
That
lot.
says a lot.
But like I said, get your squad.
Last thing, guys. So, a couple weeks ago, I think it was an episode or two ago, you guys was doing like comparisons between artists and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And I forget what somebody said. I gotta go look at it, but somebody.
We was talking about Usher and Chris Brown last week.
Yes,
That
y'all
was
were, I was
last
on
week.
that one, and y'all was real disrespectful about that. But we're not gonna talk about that.
You talking about the gospel edition about
I
2
think
weeks
it
ago?
was the gospel edition.
Are you talking about like we were talking about Daryl versus
We
Chandler
talking
and all
With-
that?
Yeah, y'all did, but that was a good one. That was a good
we
one.
did.
But I'm not gonna talk about
They
that.
wouldn't-
I probably wasn't
Yeah, he wasn't there. He wasn't there.
But
Because that's I've been seeing people talk about that real stupid
I'm
too.
gonna slide this one in real quick. Did y'all see what Fat Joe said about Drake?
Say again?
Did y'all see what Fat Joe said about Drake?
Nah, what he say?
Oh wait a minute.
Brace
Lean
yourself.
back.
Take your time.
Joey
Fat
Craig.
Joe told Rick Ross that Drake is the new Michael Jackson.
The new
All right, bye.
So that's
Bye.
that stuff where
Good
like,
night.
What is he?
Good
What?
night,
That's why-
everybody.
that's why Fat Joe
You
ain't
know what?
fat
But
no more.
But you know what? I had to forgive Fat Joe for that. I had to forgive him.
That's why
I
Fat Joe
forgave
ain't
him
fat
for
no
that.
more.
Come on, take us off.